Lesson 6. Genetically modified foods.
Page 74. Key words. New words.
Genetically.
Page 75. Read and think. Part 1. New words.
Resist.
Now, listen to Part 1.
You may have heard about genetically modified.
Page 76. Part 2. New words.
Insulin. Diabetes.
Now, listen to Part 2.
Genetic modification has the power to save lives through its use in medicine.
Pages 76 through 78. Part 3. New words.
Particular.
Now, listen to Part 3.
There are 3 big problems.
Pages 78 and 79. Part 4. New words.
Personally.
Now, listen to Part 4.
I personally would not hesitate to eat a GM vegetable.
Pages 82 and 83. Grammar. Listen. B1.
1. GM crops are grains, vegetables, and fruits that have had some of their genes changed by humans.
B2.
1. Some GM crops, such as potatoes and soybeans, are being used in some countries.
B3.
1. I personally would not hesitate to eat a GM vegetable. 2. With a little more.
Page 84. Function. Listen. C1.
1. They mustn't sell GM foods without labels.
C2.
1. What if we cannot produce enough food for everyone? 2.
Lesson 7. 2 flags, 1 runner.
Page 86. Key words. New words.
Flag.
Pages 87 and 88. Read and think. Part 1. New words.
Kathy Freeman.
Now, listen to Part 1.
It was September 25th, 2000.
Pages 88 through 91. Part 2. New words.
McKay.
Now, listen to Part 2.
Kathy Freeman was born in 1973 in Mackay, Queensland.
Pages 91 and 92. Part 3. New words.
Background.
Now, listen to Part 3.
The Aboriginal flag shows a yellow sun on a black and red background.
Pages 92 and 93. Part 4. New words.
Reconsider.
Now, listen to Part 4.
Today, many Australians have recognized the unfair treatment of Aborigines in the past.
Pages 96 and 97. Grammar. Listen. B1.
1. Kathy had her own special reasons for having wrapped herself in both flags.
B2.
1. She began to run slowly around the track with the two flags wrapped around her body.
B3.
1. And then our dream of all the peoples of the world living together in peace will have finally come true.
Page 98. Function. Listen. C1.
1. That reminds me. I have a CD of traditional Peruvian songs.
C2.
1. Can I see the other pictures you took?
Lesson 8. Dialogue is more than just talk.
Page 100. Key words. New words.
Dialogue.
Pages 101 and 102. Read and think. Part 1. New words.
Familiar.
Now, listen to Part 1.
1. What is dialogue? The word
Pages 102 through 104. Part 2. New words.
Unexpected.
Now, listen to Part 2.
2. How do we have a successful dialogue?
Pages 104 through 106. Part 3. New words.
Promote.
Now, listen to Part 3.
3. Dialogue in the future.
Pages 110 and 111. Grammar. Listen. B1.
1. It is not clear who's leading, and it doesn't matter.
B2.
1. We don't necessarily think that the other person has a different opinion.
B3.
1. Successful dialogue will be helping us overcome differences and conflicts.
Page 112. Function. Listen. C1.
1. I'm sorry to say this, but could you turn down your CD player?
C2.
1. That's true, but I'm not sure if email is the best way of communicating. 2. What you are saying could be right, but there may be better ideas. 3. I understand that, but it's difficult to do.
Lesson 9. Another Hey Jude.
Page 116. Key words. New words.
Hey Jude.
Page 117. Read and think. Part 1. New words.
Fab 4.
Now, listen to Part 1.
The Beatles were one of the most popular music groups in history.
Pages 118 through 120. Part 2. New words.
Czechoslovakia.
Now, listen to Part 2.
In 1945, at the end of World War II, Czechoslovakia was liberated from Germany after many years of Nazi occupation.
Pages 120 and 121. Part 3. New words.
Oppress.
Now, listen to Part 3.
But the communist state did not remain silent.
Pages 121 and 122. Part 4. New words.
Berlin Wall.
Now, listen to Part 4.
Many years later, in 1989, a turning point came when the Berlin Wall came down.
Pages 126 and 127. Grammar. Listen. B1.
1. In Czechoslovakia, no other singer was as popular as Marta Kuvashova.
B2.
1. The song Hey Jude was never to be heard or sung.
B3.
1. She is so white. She looks as if she were about to fall down. 2.
Page 128. Function. Listen. C1.
1. If you're interested, would you like to join us?
C2.
1. They always remind me of my family. 2. That reminds me, I have a small present for you.
Lesson 10. The nature far from us.
Page 130. Key words. New words.
Survival.
Pages 131 and 132. Read and think. Part 1. New words.
Dot.
Now, listen to Part 1.
It was the afternoon of a hot summer day. Michio.
Pages 132 and 133. Part 2. New words.
Photo.
Now, listen to Part 2.
When he was a university student, Hoshino came across a magazine in a used bookstore in Tokyo. In the magazine, he found a photo taken from the air of a small Inuit village called Shishmaref.
Page 136. Part 3. New words.
Northern.
Now, listen to Part 3.
Hoshino spent the summer with the Inuit family.
Pages 136 through 138. Part 4. New words.
Daily.
Now, listen to Part 4.
While living in the nature of Alaska, Hoshino came to form the following view of nature.
Pages 138 and 139. Part 5. New words.
Essay.
Now, listen to Part 5.
Hoshino's photos and essays have been published in many books, such as Grizzly and
Pages 142 and 143. Grammar. Listen. B1.
1. These dots joined to form a line.
B2.
1. He was moved by the huge open space in which there were no human beings.
B3.
1. Having graduated from university, he studied photography for 2 years. 2.
Page 144. Function. Listen. C1.
1. Mr. Bell, welcome to our studio.
C2.
1. First of all, tap off. Second, then push the button all the way down.
Supplementary lesson. To you who will live in the 21st century.
Listen.
I have been a writer of historical fiction. In the ancient past and today, as well as in the future, there are some things that do not change. People's lives are influenced by forces beyond them. In this message, I have frequently spoken about the self. The samurai warriors of the Kamakura period placed a lot of importance on the idea of trustworthiness. People in all eras must have a trustworthy character. People, both men and women, do not find an untrustworthy character attractive. Let me repeat this once again. Before, I told you to establish a self. I also told you to be strict toward yourself and kind toward others. I also used the word compassion, and I told you to train yourself in those things. By training in them, your self will become established. Then you will all become trustworthy people. What I have written above is a frame of mind that, in whatever era may come, is indispensable for human beings to live. All of you, you must have a free mind and spirit, like a clear blue sky. At the same time, you must walk purposefully on the earth, firmly and confidently. I wrote this thinking of the most beautiful thing in your hearts. Now, I feel every one of you has a wonderful, bright, shining future ahead.